6 seconds. That's how long it took for my entire life to fall apart. 6 seconds staring at a number on my phone screen. $860,000. And my name right next to it. My name is Lillian Harper. I'm 32 years old. I work as a compliance officer for a mid-sized financial firm in Chicago. I've always been careful, quiet, responsible. The daughter who never caused problems. The sister who always understood. Until the day I realized understanding was just another word for being used. It started on a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic, no thunderstorm, no ominous music. Just me in my kitchen, reheating leftover pasta, scrolling through emails. Then I saw it. Congratulations on your recent mortgage approval. I almost deleted it. Spam, I thought. But something made me open it. Property address, Brookfield Estates. Loan amount, $860,000. Primary borrower, Lillian Harper. My fork hit the floor. I don't live in Brookfield Estates. I rent a one-bedroom apartment. I drive a 5-year-old sedan. I've been saving for years just to maybe put 10% down on a modest condo someday. So why was there a mortgage in my name that could buy a mansion? My hands were shaking when I called the bank. The woman on the other end sounded cheerful, warm. Hi, Lillian. Congratulations on your new home. I couldn't even breathe. I don't have a new home. Silence. Typing. More silence. Ma'am, your loan was finalized 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, I was at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. My mom was showing off engagement photos of my younger sister, Brianna. Brianna, the golden child. Brianna, who never heard the word no. Brianna, who was too sensitive to handle criticism and too creative to hold down a stable job. Brianna, who somehow always landed on her feet. I hung up with the bank and stared at the property address again. Brookfield Estates. That's where Brianna and her fiancé Kyle had just miraculously bought a home. I remember my mom's voice at dinner. Isn't it incredible? Such a blessing. God really provides. I drove there that night. I didn't call. I didn't warn anyone. I just drove. The house was massive. White brick, black shutters, 3-car garage. The kind of place you see on Pinterest boards labeled Dream Life. And there it was. A giant sold sign with a ribbon tied around it. I parked across the street. The lights were on inside. I could see silhouettes moving, laughing, celebrating. My phone buzzed. It was my mom. Sweetheart, are you coming over Sunday? Brianna wants to show us the house again. Again, like it was some fairy tale. I didn't answer. Instead, I walked up to the front door and knocked. Brianna opened it. She looked perfect. Soft curls, oversized sweater, that glowing, innocent expression she'd perfected since childhood. Her smile froze when she saw me. Lily? What are you doing here? I stepped inside without waiting for permission. Kyle was in the living room opening a bottle of champagne. My parents were on the couch. All 4 of them turned to look at me. I held up my phone. Why is there an $860,000 mortgage in my name? The room went still. Not confused. Not shocked. Still. That was the first red flag. Brianna looked at my parents. My dad cleared his throat. Lillian, honey, let's not make a scene. A scene? I laughed. I actually laughed. A scene? Dad, I just found out I apparently bought a house I've never seen. Brianna's eyes welled with tears instantly. Oscar-worthy tears. It was supposed to be temporary, she whispered. Temporary? Temporary what? I asked, my voice shaking. Kyle stepped forward. Look, the bank wouldn't approve us a loan, but your credit is exceptional. Exceptional. I had spent 10 years building that credit. No missed payments, no reckless spending, no vacations I couldn't afford. While Brianna bounced between passion projects and my parents covered her rent. You used my identity, I said quietly. My mom stood up. Don't say it like that. Like what? Like a crime? It's family, she continued. Families help each other. I felt something inside me crack. You forged my signature. It wasn't forging, Brianna snapped suddenly, tears drying up fast. You left copies of your documents at Mom's house. We just handled the paperwork. Handled. I looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. You knew, I whispered. He sighed. Your sister is starting a new chapter. We didn't want her future ruined over technicalities. Technicalities? Like federal fraud, like identity theft, like destroying my financial life. I could go to prison for this, I said. My mom's voice turned sharp. No, you won't, because you're not going to report your own sister. There it was. The assumption, the entitlement, the belief that I would swallow this like I'd swallowed everything else my entire life. The smaller birthday gifts, the canceled trips because Brianna needed support. The way my achievements were always followed by, don't brag, it might upset your sister. I looked around that living room, at the expensive furniture, the champagne, the granite countertops, bought with my name, my risk, my future. You're asking me to just accept this? I said. My dad nodded slowly. It's already done, Lillian. Think about the family. If this blows up, Brianna's engagement could fall apart. Kyle's parents will find out. It'll be humiliating. Humiliating. Not illegal, not wrong, humiliating. I realized then that they weren't afraid for me. They were afraid of embarrassment. I took a deep breath. What's the plan? I asked calmly. All four of them visibly relaxed. That's when I knew they thought they'd won. Kyle smiled awkwardly. We'll refinance in a year or two, once our income increases. With what income? I asked. Brianna bristled. My business is growing. She sells handmade candles on Instagram. I can't even qualify for a car loan now, I said. Do you understand that? My mom stepped closer and grabbed my hands. Sweetheart, you're strong. You'll recover. Brianna, she's fragile. Fragile. I pulled my hands away. I need time, I said. My father nodded approvingly. That's mature. Mature. I walked out of that house with my heart pounding so hard I thought I might collapse. In my car, I finally let myself cry. Not because of the money, but because in that moment, I understood something I had avoided my entire life. I didn't have a family. I had an audience that applauded Brianna and expected me to fund the show. But here's the thing they didn't know. I work in compliance, fraud detection, financial risk assessment. I know exactly how mortgage audits work. I know what triggers investigations. And I know how long it takes for irregularities to surface. 3 weeks. That's how long the loan had existed. And already, I could see the cracks. The inflated income statements, the inconsistent employment records, the forged digital signatures. They thought they used me. They thought I'd stay quiet. They thought I was the responsible one. They were right about one thing. I am responsible. And responsible people fix problems, even if that means dismantling the entire house built on their lies. I wiped my tears, started the engine, and made one decision. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to threaten. I was going to be calm, patient, precise. Because revenge isn't loud, it's strategic. And if my sister wanted a dream home, she was about to learn exactly how quickly dreams can be audited. 6 seconds. That's how long I stared at the contact name before pressing call. Not my parents, not Brianna, an attorney. Because here's something my family forgot about me. I don't panic. I prepare. The next morning, I walked into work like nothing had happened, smiled at coworkers, reviewed compliance reports, flagged suspicious transactions. It was almost funny. By 10:17 a.m., I had already identified 3 mortgage files with inconsistencies, and every single one triggered an internal review. That's when it hit me. If I were an auditor reviewing Brianna's loan, what would I see? Inflated income projections, new LLC with no tax history, employment letters that didn't match IRS transcripts, and a primary borrower whose mailing address didn't even match the property. Sloppy. Emotional fraud is always sloppy. At noon, I met with attorney Carla Mendoza. I slid the documents across her desk. She scanned them once, then looked up at me. Did you authorize any of this? No. Did you sign anything? No. Did you benefit from the property? I almost laughed. I rent. She leaned back slowly. This is felony-level identity theft. Hearing someone say it out loud felt different. Real. Heavy. What happens if I report it? I asked. She didn't sugarcoat it. The lender investigates. If fraud is confirmed, the loan can be voided. Criminal charges are possible. Civil liability, too. Against who? Anyone involved. Anyone involved. That meant Brianna, Kyle, and potentially my parents. For a second, my chest tightened. Then I remembered my mother's voice. Families help each other. I nodded slowly. What if I don't report it? Carla's tone sharpened. Then you're legally responsible for $860,000. Silence stretched between us. And if they default, she added, they ruin my credit, garnish wages, possibly pursue assets. Yes, there it was, the choice. Protect my sister or protect myself. But here's what no one ever tells you about being the strong one. Eventually, you get tired of surviving damage that wasn't yours. I left her office with two things, a legal plan and clarity. That evening, my phone exploded with messages. Mom, have you calmed down? Dad, let's talk rationally. Brianna, I can't believe you'd even consider hurting me. Hurting her. I hadn't done anything yet, but I didn't respond. Instead, I drove back to Brookfield Estates, not to argue, to observe. The house was glowing again. Luxury SUV in the driveway, Kyle's parents' car parked outside. So, they were celebrating. I walked up and knocked. Kyle opened the door this time. His smile faded instantly. Lillian, we were going to call you. I stepped inside calmly. No need. Everyone gathered in the living room again. Déjà vu. Except this time, I wasn't shaking. I sat down, crossed my legs, and spoke evenly. I met with an attorney. My mother's face drained of color. Brianna's hand flew to her mouth. Kyle stiffened. You what? Dad asked quietly. I needed to understand my liability. Mom's voice turned sharp. You promised you needed time. I took it. 16 hours. That was fast, Brianna snapped. Fraud cases usually move faster, I replied. Kyle stood up defensively. Are you threatening us? I tilted my head. Did you think I wouldn't explore my options? Mom stepped forward again, that same manipulative softness. Sweetheart, lawyers complicate things. No, I said calmly. Fraud complicates things. Silence. Thick. Uncomfortable. I pulled out a folder, printed copies of everything. Income discrepancies circled in red. Signature mismatches highlighted. Timeline gaps marked. Kyle's jaw tightened as he flipped through pages. You pulled our financials? They're public record once submitted. Brianna's eyes flashed. You're acting like some investigator. I am one. That landed. Hard. My dad finally spoke. What do you want, Lillian? Not an apology, not accountability, a negotiation. I leaned back. I want the loan removed from my name. Kyle scoffed. That's not possible. It's finalized. I smiled faintly. Oh, it's possible. Brianna's voice cracked. If you report this, you'll ruin us. I looked at her. For the first time, I didn't see a fragile little sister. I saw someone who made a calculated decision. You ruined yourselves, I said softly. Mom burst into tears. How can you be so cold? Cold. Because I wouldn't let them burn my future? I have a deadline, I continued evenly. You have 30 days to refinance or transfer liability legally. Kyle laughed bitterly. That's impossible. So is me paying for your house. Dad's voice hardened. You'd send your sister to prison? There it was again, the guilt, the weight, the expectation that I should sacrifice everything to protect the golden child. I stood up slowly. I won't send anyone anywhere. I'll simply file a fraud report if the debt isn't removed. Brianna's mask finally cracked. You've always hated me, she hissed. That one stung, because it wasn't true. I didn't hate her. I hated what she was allowed to become. I don't hate you, I said quietly, but I won't finance you. I walked toward the door. Kyle called after me. You'll destroy this family! I paused, looked back. It was destroyed the moment you forged my name. I left again, but this time I didn't cry. I felt something else. Power. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't absorbing the damage. I was setting boundaries. And here's what they still didn't understand. I wasn't bluffing. The fraud department at the lender conducts quarterly random audits. And guess what quarter we were in? Q4. High volume season, increased scrutiny, enhanced verification protocols. All it would take is one anonymous tip. And those inconsistencies I circled in red, they'd light up like fireworks. I gave them 30 days, not out of kindness, out of strategy, because panic makes people sloppy, and sloppy people make mistakes. If they tried to refinance, new verification, new income checks, new scrutiny. If they did nothing, the audit clock kept ticking. Either way, the house wasn't as secure as they thought, and I wasn't the quiet, obedient sister anymore. I was the risk they failed to calculate. And this time, I wasn't protecting the family. I was protecting myself.